says, "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." I want you to see there, we've been looking at that word there where it says that darkness was upon the face of the deep. That darkness was upon the face of the deep. And we've been talking about the face of the deep, and I hope that we covered enough last time we met for you to see that the face of the waters and the face of the deep is the same thing, and that the deep here in the waters is not referring to waters that are on earth's surface. You notice that Genesis 1:2 does not say that the Spirit of God moved upon the earth. It says that the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. It moved upon the face of the deep. And so we talked about how God creates a firmament, and so I put a little drawing there on your handout that you have in the bottom right-hand corner. It's also up here, but you can't see it up here, so that's why I put it on your handout, so you'd be able to see it better. But God creates a firmament, it says, and then to divide the waters from the waters, which is a very interesting thing to say, that He created a firmament to divide the waters from the waters. Now, when I was younger, and before I had studied, I always thought firmament meant like dirt, like ground, because I thought firmament and firm, something that's hard, right? But then when you study God's Word and you let His Word speak for itself, and as we go through it, the word firmament stands for the space that divides the waters for the waters. Now, how do you know that? Because in verse number 8 there, it says, "And God said," verse 8. "And God called the firmament heaven." God doesn't call dirt heaven, does He? What does He call heaven? You have the first heavens, which is the atmosphere around the earth. We've talked about that. The second heaven, which is where the stars are. And the third heavens, where God currently resides, where the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north are. Where Satan went to present himself in the book of Job. That's the third heavens. And so Rob talked about the second heavens in Sunday school this past week, and the angels there, and reclaiming the heavenly places. But the point is that the firmament is the space that divides waters from the waters. And that we talked about how the things that's going on in the heavens is a pattern of the tabernacle that God had upon earth. In Genesis chapter number 7, turn to Genesis 7 and look at verse number 11. Genesis 7:11, that verse is there, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Genesis 7:11. And it says, "In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights." And so when we think about where our safety is, where is our safety? Our safety is in heaven. And where was mankind looking for safety in Noah's day? In the ark. And where was the ark? As Carl just said before we even started, that the ark was above the water. Where was the ark? Above the water. Where are we going to be protected? Above the water. And so what do I mean by that? I'm talking about our hope is heaven. And the third heavens is above the water. God created a firmament to divide the waters from the waters, and the firmament is the second heavens. But there's a third heavens that is above the waters. In Genesis chapter 7, look at verse number 18. "And the waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters." Verse 23, "And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and creeping things, and the fowl of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark." Their safety was the ark that was sitting upon the waters. In Genesis 7:23, he says that the face of the ground, he says that also. So the face is something that's the top of it, right? So when I'm saying that we're talking about the face of the deep, we're talking about the top of the deep, right? We're not talking about the inside of it, we're talking about the top of it. So I think that's self-evident. God's throne, I'll go over to Job, chapter number 38. We're going to look at a couple of verses in Job. So when we're talking about the top of the waters, what we're saying is that the universe that we have, God's creation, is in a container. And the top of it is the top of the deep, and it's the face of it. It has a top, and darkness is upon the face of the deep when God creates here. In Job chapter number 28 and verse number 30, it says this: "The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen." So the face of the deep is frozen. So the face of the deep is what? What freezes? Water. The deep is water, and the face of the deep is frozen. And when God divided the waters in the universe, it's now frozen-like. Look at Job 37 and verse 18. Hast thou, let me give you a second to get there. Job 37, 18. Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking glass? What is frozen water like? Glass, glass, glass. Look at Job chapter 26. Job chapter 26. Job chapter 26 and verse number 5. "Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction hath no covering. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing." So what we're talking about here is there's an empty place. And he says here that he stretcheth out the north. There's the mounts of the congregation in the sides of the north. Where's north? That's where God resides. You want to know how to get to God? Pull out a compass. All compasses point due north. Why do you think that is? It's just random chance, right? We're all molecules in motion, Big Bang. X marks the spot. It'll take you to Christ every single time. He hangeth the earth upon nothing. He bindeth up the waters in his thick clouds. You want to know why you can't see the light of God from his throne right now? It's because there's waters between you and him, and he binds up thick, the light is bound up in the thick clouds. The reason you can look in a telescope at night and see the stars